secrets. Okay, so deployment and deploy MySQL using or deploy MySQL database in Minikube cluster. Okay, so if the time permits, we'll go for a Spring Boot application. Okay, to start with our config map. Okay, so as you could see, our config map, it is nothing but any any environment variables or any application, right? If it requires some kind of a configuration, a database URL. So such type of a configuration has to be passed to our application, which is running as a container inside a pod, right? So for that purpose, what we do is get a config map in Kubernetes, with such type of a configuration inside the config map. Okay? So why exactly you do it? Um, what is the advantage of a config map? What we could do is we can decouple the environment specific configuration. Okay? So in think that obviously dev test and higher environment, production environment, database URL will be changed, right? It will be different. And even the spec of our pod, right? So those all the things, it will be changed. And even the application which has to be deployed, right? The URLs will get changed, right? So some of the, in order to control that uh, or decouple our environment specific configuration from our Kubernetes cluster, right? So we try to keep those such type of configuration in config map. Okay, so it will be easy for us to create our application as a decoupled environment itself. Okay, so let us go and find it out. Okay, so how exactly config map has to be created. Okay. So if you go to kubernetes.io, kubernetes.io is a single source of truth. Okay, related to Kubernetes. Whatever the changes it is current changes are there, right? Everything you can find it out over here. Okay, even if you are doing a certified Kubernetes administrator or a CKAD, right, or KS, right, so you should be able to open one tab, that is a kubernetes.io tab. Okay, you should be able to open it up. Okay? That is the reason I would suggest you to always, for any Kubernetes related bit, right, search it over here. Okay, you will get all the information. Okay, so coming back to the config map. So if I type config map here, I will be getting a config map related details. Okay, so how exactly config map has to be created? Okay, so you could see here already a few data is present already. Okay, so if I wanted to create a config map, so what I could do is I can take this particular data. Okay, I wanted to create it. Yes. Okay, and then go your folder. I created a folder. Okay, I'm inside in that. I'll say I'll create a file called as a cm.yaml. Okay, YAML stand for YAML extension. It the markup language. So now I'll copy paste the same thing, whatever I have copied from here. So if you see here is a API version. Okay, type of a V1. Okay, kind here if you could see, it's a config. Okay, any Kubernetes resources, the YAML syntax, right? This top parameter will be same. Okay, meaning this key and value. Okay, this key remains the same, the value can change. Okay, in this case I am creating a Kubernetes config map, right? So that is the reason kind is config map. Okay, so metadata name, this keys means the same all across any Kubernetes resources. Okay, so here in the data field, what I'm giving is a key variable I'm giving it. Okay, this is configuration, their initial lives equals 3. That is the value I've putting it. Okay, UI property file, this is the key, this is the value I'm giving it. This is a self-defined config map. Okay, whatever you wanted as part of your application, right, that is what you are giving it to. Okay, This data can be, it is not a predefined variables. It is a variable whichever you wanted to do it, you should be able to add. Okay, I can put my name as well. It won't object to it. Okay, so here if you could see, we have created another properties. We are keeping two key and values. Okay, and here user interface dot properties we are creating it. So in that one, these all the key and value we are providing it. So if you save this particular file, now if you could see, I have tm.ml file, okay, present. Okay, before that you need to make sure, okay, just check the status of minikube cluster. It should be up and running. So in my case, it is up and running. So now in order to check the existing config map present in the Kubernetes, the command what you use is kubectl get tm. Okay, I will say config map. Okay, if you say that map, you could see I have config map is present in my minikube cluster. Okay, so you can say like this config map a bigger name. There is a shorter name is also available. You can say simply cm. Cm stand for a config map. Enter that, should be able to see the same data. Okay, so due to some reason you wanted to delete the existing config map. Okay, if you wanted to view it, okay, the command is basically, so you will say describe cm. Okay, kubectl is a command. This is the verb what exactly you wanted to do it. Next one is a resource name. In this case, it is a config map, or it can be if you wanted to check the secret or pod description, you can do that. Okay, any Kubernetes resource, the next column. So in this case, I wanted to describe my config map, existing config map. If you could see, this config map has these data. Sorry. So now, if you have viewed it, you have get it. So I wanted to delete it, delete the existing config map. Okay, so in that case, what I will run is, I will say kubectl delete tm is for a config map and the config map name. In this case, this one I have deleted. Config map db-config is deleted. Okay, so if you wanted to see again, okay, so if you wanted to check it again, what is currently as same thing, kubectl get c. Okay, so now we have created this config map, right, from the scratch, right? So we wanted to create this config map in Kubernetes. Okay, how exactly you do it? You will run kubectl apply, okay, minus f, and then that YAML file. Okay, if I minus f stand for a file, m.yaml, that's a file name we are giving it over. If you enter that, it will say config map demo has been created. If you want to view this, get tm. Okay, if you could see, this has been created 9 seconds ago, config map. Okay, so let us go and view this. In order to view this, the command was describe. Okay, say describe. So if you could see, the our data what resides is in the user interface, have the and value game dot properties, it's a file again. Okay, it has these many, these two entries. Player initial values, initial lives, it has a 3, and in this particular file it has this particular reference. Okay, this is in this way we try to create a config map. Okay, so now next bit is our secret. Okay, if we go to a further one, that is a Kubernetes secret. Okay, so in Kubernetes secret, what is Kubernetes secret? So it is a, so in our application, obviously we will be having some secrets, right? Some username and password, right, of a database, or some access token, okay, which has to be accessed by only by the pod. So you can't keep the secrets inside our repo, right? Otherwise, if someone has access to Git repo, he would be able to see it in the naked eye and can can hack into your system, right? That is it's a hacking, right? So we should not allow such type of activities, right? So in order to keep our application uh, safe and secure, right? So all the username and password tokens, okay, or a key, right? So those are the things we keep in a Kubernetes secret, so that uh, the secret is not hard coded into the application code itself, or it is not is kept it in a config map or inside the repo. Okay, for that reason, what we do is we go and create a secret, Kubernetes secret. As you could see here, the first top it is same only, right? API version is there, kind is there, metadata is there, name is there. Since it is a secret, we be using secret, right? The kind is secret. So how exactly you can do those configuration? So let us go back to here. So let us go back to our Kubernetes.io. Let us search secret. The first one you selected. So how exactly you can create a can YAML file, or you can run it via normal commands as well. Let us go with the easier option, that is basically you can use a command line as well. Even the config map has can be created using the uh, command line as well. Okay. So let us go and use this particular command. So we can use it as a YAML as well. Okay. So if you wanted to run a secret as a YAML, that also it can be done. So in this case, if you wanted to pick code it as a, I will show it in a in both the ways. So if you could, this is a secret example. Let us go and let's say secret. The name of the file can be anything. This here, if you could see, this is a base64 encoding we need to do. Okay, how exactly need to do that one? I will do it now. Okay, so let me save this file. Here the secret file is particular. Let's say otherwise let it be here. Okay, I will open. So what I will do. So you wanted to know the what is the password of this one, right? So you have to echo. Okay, you have to decode the string. Decode in pipe symbol. Okay, so enter a64 minus d. Minus d stand for a decode. Okay, you enter the this encoded value. The actual plain text is value hyphen 2. Okay, it has been encoded, and in this format it is there. Someone who sees it cannot by heart it. Okay? If someone sees the secret of this value, can understand that yes, it is a value hyphen 2. But a human person cannot by glance of seeing it, he remember that, right? That is the reason all the secrets we try to do a basic or encode. Okay, so think that you wanted to um, you wanted to encode code some data. I'll say admin. Okay, okay? Basic encoding is this. Okay, um, you wanted to decode is encoding is like this. Decoding, if you wanted to decode like this, the same value. Okay, when I add a minus d, which stand for a decoding, the value, actual value, it comes as a admin. Okay, so if you wanted to encode, remove the minus d, you should be able to encode the this particular string. Okay, so let us go back to here. So let us add few variables. So I wanted to add username. Okay, or db password. The password. I wanted to introduce this particular secret. Okay. For that, I wanted to give password as highly secretive. Right to yeah, has generated like this. So anyone has this string, right? They can decode it easy. It is not that secret. Okay? So if anyone has this particular value with one single command, he can decode. Let us save this particular file. So likewise, ConfigMap commands are similar in for the secret as well. Okay, so if you wanted to check how many secrets are present in Minikube cluster, let's get secret. Right, to it, be able to see all the secrets inside our cube cluster. So these are all the things it has been currently present. Okay, so if you wanted to see the data out of it, okay, what you could similar, okay, describe. The commands are similar in Kubernetes. So just a only one learning. So if you could say you this password, use password, so you output as YAML. Well, so you would be see, this is our thread, this is our use the hard coding. Okay, so you have got the name and password. So I wanted to see it. How you can do it? You to decode. This is test user is the time just at the rate 123. Okay, this is what it has been kept it in this particular set. It called as a DB has a data these two. Okay, now if you wanted to delete it, okay, so first what you need to do, get it. So which are all the things you wanted to delete it? Secret name. If you enter it, has been deleted. So if further multiple, right, you can run it in a loop, okay, or you can by one also you can run it. Okay, so okay, so let us go and check the secrets. So only two secrets are there as well. So in this way, what we do is we create it, okay, okay, via our in this way we delete the secret. So let us go to the creation of it. So we have created the YAML file here. So if you wanted to apply it, and if you wanted to create this, you will run simple kubectl apply -f and the secret.yaml. If you see dot file, it has been created. If I do a get secret, you can see dot file secret has been is there. So if you wanted to do a get of it, right? So you wanted to see what is there inside that. See, has a dot secret file one. primary one key password as another key. So in this way, you create it. Okay. So let us do it via command line as well. That also here if as command line. So if you wanted to run it, kubectl create verb it is. What is this Kubernetes resource? We are calling it as a generic secret. Dev, the secret name we are giving. So we are saying from literal there should be two use there should be a username is a key, the value. Okay, password is this, password value is like this. Okay, so if you enter this, you go and create a secret for us. If you see get secret, see for dev deep secret, whatever we have used. If you wanted to see that what intent of it, you should be able to see our password and username. Username we have passed as is, right? It is not encoded, but Kubernetes Kubernetes secret is intelligent. It will convert it, encode it, okay, and then thereafter it has created a secret for us. Okay, so this is what on the secrets. Okay, so let us go to the next bit of it. That is our deployment. Okay, so in Kubernetes, deployment is the parent of our pod. So deployment is a parent of pod. So how many pods is required for us? So those pods we can define it, okay, and then we can wrap around the deployment. Okay, so let us search it here. Deployment. So our deployment is a high level abstraction of our pod. Okay, here if you could see in the template section, so if you are creating any pod, we will be having only this section: containers and the image, okay, the container pod. So if you wanted to create, if you have created a pod, right? If something happens and it gets deleted, one of your colleague has deleted it, right? Then automatically this particular pod won't be recreated. So if you create a deployment, right? What it does is it will make sure that if someone accidentally deletes also, automatically Kubernetes will make sure your deployment is auto created. Okay, self-healing concept will come into picture here. Automatically someone deletes it, will go and recreate it for. Okay, so here we can mention how many replicas it is required. So think that your application uh, has to be scaled at the initial itself. So you know that on a daily basis, these many customers access your application. Okay, during that time, sorry, yeah, so during initial time itself, your pod has to be three replicas of our pod should be present. Okay, so that is what we are mentioning at a replicas level. So at the top, it is common across all the our Kubernetes resources. Yeah, version 9 is deployment. Metadata and name we are giving. Okay. So after that, we are attaching a label. The specification for this deployment, we are saying that this particular pod, whatever we have it, right? So that there should be three replica, mean rather than one pod, we should have a three pod. Okay. So for a selector criteria, how exactly we are doing it? Basically, it has been matching a label called as a app BA nginx in this case. Okay. So the below part inside the template, we mention which container, which which pod this deployment belongs. Okay, this pod belongs to this particular deployment, hence that is the reason I mention it. Why we use it? In order to scale it up, if you wanted to scale your deployment from 0 to 10 or whichever you want, right? The fraction of second you can. So ideally, go for a one deployment, one-to-one mapping, one deployment and one pod. After one deployment, there will be only one pod. Okay, some cases, case by case, it can be multiple pod also. Multiple containers also can reside inside a deployment. Okay, normally it's a one-to-one mapping with a pod itself. Okay, so now let us go to our deployment. So once you search over here, click on the deployment. Okay, so here if you could see, uh, before I think we via YAML, let us create the pod via YAML. This now let us create this first. Let us understand how exactly the pod works. Go back to our deployment. Okay, I say here the name of Nginx we have. Okay, so I will say demo. I'm giving a name of our pod. Here simple we are mentioned as a container Nginx. Okay, go to the Docker hub and fetch us this particular Nginx server, Nginx version. Okay, it will be running on 80 port. So now let us run, save this file. Let us apply it. Okay, okay, pod. So before that, you wanted to see how many pods are present, right? So if they get the pods, these many pods are running. Okay, so let me delete it off. How you delete it? Okay, pod, the pod names. Okay, so okay, simple command to delete the pod. Okay, so now it is empty. Okay, so if you wanted to create it, the same command it. Okay, up for pod. Okay, if I say that our pod has been created, so creating now took 3 seconds. Let us in 10 seconds our demo Nginx it has been up and running. Okay, so think that now particular demo application, okay, due to some reason, okay, someone deleted it. Example which I took earlier, right? If someone deletes it, it is deleted, right? So no way you can bring it back unless you run will apply again. That will only it will bring it up. Okay, other than that one there is no other way you can bring it up. Okay, and if you wanted a 10 copies of the same demo application, you can't do it. Okay, you have to give a different name and scale it up scale it up to 10. Okay, 10 times you need to run with the different names. Okay, uh, it is not a good way to scale your application. Okay, so in that way, next in order to sort it out, that kind of a issue, our deployment came into picture. So if you search with the deployment, so what we do is the same kind of a application what we had now, right? So copy this bit, will create a file. The name of the file can be anything. Okay, paste it. So if you see here, top four is the same thing. Only difference is the kind is what type of a Kubernetes is. Yes, it's a deployment. Okay, here we are saying replicas equals 3. So it should create a three pods. Okay, so in the safer side, let us make it as a 1. Okay, 1, and the name of a container, it's the same version of Nginx. Okay, rest other details, whatever we had our pod, right? This is the same pod details. Okay, that is what it has been mentioned over here, but it is wrapped around the deployment. So now if I say get pod, right, of the resource present, right? So I wanted to create my deployment. I will run this. So it says deployment has been created. So if you how exactly you see the deployments, say kubectl get deployment. Okay. Here, if you could see, there are kubectl deployment with the name, whatever the name we have given in the YAML file, that is what it has created. Ready is 1 by 1, available is 1. Okay, 12 seconds ago it was up and running. So if you wanted to see the pods, just run kubectl get pod. So if you could see this kubectl deployment, the deployment name it has taken, then this is our replica set, and this is a unique number for our pod. Okay, pod is up and running. Okay, so if I go for a hierarchy, right, deployment name is next deployment. So next bit is a replica set. Okay, can call it as a replica set. Okay, so if you could see, this is the name of our deployment. That is what it has been appended over here. This is a random generated number for our alphanumeric number. Okay, it says desired is 1, current is 1, ready is 1. Okay, so if, Kubernetes is happy. Okay, so if you say get pods here, the same name, if you same thing, it has been copied over here, and for the pod extra bit has been appended here. If you see, the hierarchy wise, pod is at the bottom, so that one is a replica set, which makes sure that how many pods it has to be run. On top of that one, we have a nginx deployment. Okay, so now think that the same example, if we delete it out, delete the pod, so accidentally someone has did accidentally your pod, let us go and delete it out. Say delete pod. In the pod case, it won't create automatically, right? If you get pod again, you'll see already it has up and running. Here one was 88 2 seconds ago. Here 6 seconds ago, this pod it has been regenerated. How you can see it? The old pod name was like this. Okay, until this one is a replica set name, okay, which is derived from a deployment name, and this is the extra for a replica set. Okay, this is the unique number for each pod. The older pod was which we deleted, right? That pod name was this one. Now the new one is like, okay. So in this way, someone accidentally deletes also, right? We should be able to bring it up, and automatically Kubernetes will make sure that it is the required is 1. Okay, it has to be recreated. That is the magic of our Kubernetes. Okay, so now if you wanted to, there is a lot of load is there, right, on your application. So automatically it has to be sorry. So there is a, let us go to our YAML file. Now there is a hell lot of load is there. Okay, so one is unable to withstand. Okay, many guys are seeing a downgraded performance in our application. Okay, now I wanted to increase the replicas to 10, meaning 10 pods I wanted in order to withstand the hell lot of a load. Okay, I will say save it. So now what I will do, I have to apply the new configuration. So if you see, it has been configured. So now if I go and see get pods, say 10. The old one, if you see, it is 113 seconds ago. The rest other bit it is creating. So if you see, all 10 are back into the action. Okay, within a one section, one configuration change, it has scaled our same application into 10 pods. Okay, this is the magic of our Kubernetes. Okay, think that now again load was there, load has reduced now. So now I don't want a 10, I need only 3. I will save that, and again I will run it. It says configured. So now if you say get pods, right, automatically within a fraction of second it will keep on deleting unwanted stuff. It keeps only 3 bit. Okay, that is what we have told. So if you see, within a fraction of second it has deleted the rest other pods. Okay, uh, in this way you can auto scale it. Okay, so This is on the deployments. Now back to the next bit. Okay, now coming back to our actual use case. Here, what was our agenda was config map secrets deployment. Okay, now let us go and deploy a MySQL database. Okay, so in order to create a MySQL database, let us try to use all these stuffs. Okay, that is config map secret and deployment in order to deploy our MySQL database. Okay, so now what we have done is have okay, so let us go to our MySQL bit. So here for this particular example, what we have done is have created a user as a secret. Two secrets are present. Secret name is the second one is the root password. In order to create MySQL database, right? So own we should have our own root password. We need to mention it to MySQL database. Otherwise, someone has to who's installing it, right? He should be knowing about it. So let us go to this particular location. And another thing I forgot to show you the deletion of a deployment, right? So now, so if you wanted to delete some pod, right? Now think that this particular application you don't want to work anymore. Okay? In order to save your cost, memory and all, so you don't want this one. So probably after 1 month you wanted to work on that. Okay? You can't keep this application up and running. Unnecessary memory space and all. We don't want it. But if you wanted to delete this, what will happen? We'll go and recreate. Kubernetes deployment will go and recreate. Okay. So there are two options are there for. Okay. So what we could do is we can make a replicas, okay, as a zero. Zero. So automatically if you apply it, automatically it delete it off all the pods. It picked it up, it has deleted everything. In this way you can do it, or what you could do is the kubectl can like this. Kubectl is our deployment. Okay. You can delete the deployment. There are two ways of deleting it. Okay, delete, deploy, and the name of it. Deployment is deleted. Let us recreate it, and I will show that type. So the way you apply it, right? Like that same. Okay, first we'll apply it. Create the deployment. Obviously, it will create the pods as well. So now wanted to delete it. Okay, so what we could do is can say directly delete deployment, or the apply command we have run, right? Instead of apply, just say delete. What it will do is just deleted it. Did all the pod. The pod was existing some 10 seconds ago. Now everything is gone. Okay, another way of delete. Okay, so coming back to here, so let us back to. So now in this folder we have all these secrets. Okay, so let us go and create. So this is secret is used for a MySQL database. Okay, so how exactly we do it in order to create these secrets? kubectl first secret name. If you create like this, our secret has been created. Okay, check that secret. The secret 8 seconds ago it has been created. Now I wanted to create a root secret as well. Okay. It was already exists, so that is the reason it said the okay. 6 days ago I could have created it and recreate. For the deletion, there is another way. Just delete. Here, it's gone. Right. So now the root as well. Okay. It has been created. 3 seconds. 47. So now, if you see, we don't have any pods, okay, in our namespace. Okay. So now we wanted to deploy our MySQL database. Okay. So here code is okay, have a service is also there. Service is for our service is used for our sorry our secrets, and what it is doing is in this particular MySQL deployment have a secret. Good. Then we have a config map hyphen config. On top of that one we have our service service front the our pods which is mentioned in our deployment. So since we have already created a secret, the root it has been created. We require only the service. We require only the deployment. So if you remember, we had created a map. Okay, config. So if you could have a config map, here we are mentioning data or database name. Okay, automatically what it will do is create a MySQL, a MySQL database as well. Okay, so how you do it? Normal case, kubectl apply for MySQL and it. If you see our config map in create. Yeah. Once it has been created, so the next step is you wanted to run our deployment. So if you go to our deployment, as usual, have a name called as a MySQL, kind as a deployment, the name as our MySQL. So here what we are doing here, we are mentioning a container name as MySQL.7 version. So we have a MySQL name. Here we are giving a MySQL. If you remember, we have to set our MySQL root password. If you wanted to install any MySQL database, right? Obviously, we have to set the environment variable root password. Otherwise, container won't start at all. Okay? During a startup or a boot time or running time of a MySQL, someone has to enter the root password. Otherwise, it won't install. Okay? That is the reason we set this particular environment variable. Here, what we are saying here is MySQL root password. Okay? This environment variable will be set from a value from a secret key reference. Okay, that is a secret. His name is root password. That is, this is our secret. Secret. That is root password. Okay, root password. It has to pick a password value. The key, what it does is inside whatever the key password is present, right? Whatever value that will be set as a MySQL password. In our case, let us go and view it. Password, I will say minus o YAML file. Minus o stand for output. Output format in the YAML format output I want. Here, our root password is this. Sorry, root password. The name of the certificate secret is root password. It has a password key, and this is the value. Okay? Here, if you could see, root secret key reference is secret is root password. Okay, and the password is the key. So password is this one. Okay, this value, whatever it is there, it will be picked up over here. Okay, and it will be set as a MySQL password. We could have done like this as well, rather than making it as a simple. The password, if I decouple, okay, decode it, just decode this. If you see, it's a admin123. We could have done like this as well. Okay, so what it will become is it becomes a hard coding. Can't change it. You can't change it. But we are not interested in that. We don't want to do a hard coding, because anyone has access to your code base, right? They can decode it, right? They can easily hack into that. That is the reason what we are doing is we are picking the value from our secret key reference, from a secret, whatever in the secret we have kept it, right? That we are assigning it. Okay, so obviously we wanted a multiple application user has to be created, a DB user. Similarly, we have created a secret called as a DB user. Here, here, see here, we have a DB user. Why we create a DB user is, if we have a n number of application, right? We wanted to keep a separate database for each of the application. That is the reason we have created a DB user. For that, username is this, password is this. Values we have kept it. So here we are setting a username for our application, okay, over here. Okay. What it does is it goes to value, it has to get it from username. Value will be set from a secret name called as a DB user. That is this one, DB user. Okay. The it is picking a username. Okay, username. This value it will be set for this MySQL user. Okay, similarly, password is set. Okay, this is on the secret. How exactly for a pod we add a, or fetch the values from a secret and attach to our pod. Okay, the second one is a config map. Okay, similar concept. A value, the MySQL database. How exactly we are setting a value from whatever here. If you see secret key reference, instead of a secret, we have kept the MySQL database in db config, right? So that in a config map. So that is the reason. Only difference is this, but config map. The similar concept, how it the value picks it up. That is what it has been mentioned it over here. Okay. So next bit is, this is what how you configure one application along with our config map as well as a secret. Okay. So now what we will do is we will go and create a this particular MySQL database. So let us, how exactly we run it? Simple, same command. Okay. Apply -f, and then our database deployment.yaml file. Deployment. So here, if you could see, it will create a deployment as well as create a service. A service is to front end our application. Okay, our MySQL database in this case. If I run this, but if you could see, service was already there. That is the reason it said unchanged. So MySQL is created. So if I go and check my pod, okay, it is full. latest. I will read this container. White error image pool was the version earlier version, like it was deprecated. At it. Let us wait for it. So here, when I run it, right? So what it did was it created a deployment for us called as a MySQL. Because set if you wanted to see it as a shortcut name is RS MySQL data and our pod. You see, our MySQL pod is up and run, right? So in this way, we create our deployment. MySQL application is running now. It is using secrets and ConfigMap. The way I have explained it, right? In this way, it has been added. Okay, just a heads up, guys. So if you, whenever this particular goes live, right? So if you are wanted to connect with me, just put a message either in our Instagram, okay, or in our Telegram. Just put a message, okay, wanted to connect with you, okay. So I'm planning to have a specific session with the audience of and whoever was watching this live, right, all these sessions. So if you put a message, I'm planning to do a question and answer session with you guys. So just try to contact our Instagram or via Instagram or via Telegram. Okay, we have given a links. Okay, you can approach to us. Okay, now if you could here, this is what we have been using it. Okay, uh, so MySQL database. If you wanted to check it out, how exactly the MySQL database has been created, the command Kubernetes is kubectl exe it for exe fusion minus it stand for a interactive mode. Then pod name bin slash bash. If I enter, now I am logged inside the MySQL. Okay. Okay. This once itself it doesn't exist because these are all the containers, right? So you won't be having all the data. Okay. So now I wanted to run MySQL minus two root user and for a password. If I enter this password, it's the rate I've logged in. Okay. So you wanted to see the database. So in MySQL, you can say show databases. So if you see, our student DB has been created. Wanted to how many? If you wanted to see the database inside that, you can see use database. Use has been checked, changed. Say show tables. How many tables present in our database? So it is empty because it has been freshly created. So let us exit here. Exit. Okay. In this way, we create this MySQL database. So, and another one thing I wanted to add, if you like this kind of a video, right, just appreciate if you could add a comment, particular bit, right, particular video, add a comment, it much appreciated. So here it only 4 minutes is remaining. So I like to close this today. Okay. In tomorrow's session, what we will do is we try to take up deployment of a Spring Boot application into our Kubernetes. Okay. Stay tuned. Catch up tomorrow. Yeah. Cheers, guys. Bye bye. Catch you.